Alright, so hello. I'm back, and oh, I didn't open the game. Whoops. This. Alright, so I'm back, and now we're going to talk about making a high score. So I'm sure everyone knows what a high score is. It's whenever you destroy an enemy, get a collectible, it increases a number, and that number determines how well you did in the game. But before we say what gives us or makes us lose points, we have to set the score to 0. And I'm going to show you that right now. So we're going to create a new object. So we'll go to create object. We're just going to call this object count. We're not going to put a sprite in there. And we're going to add event. We're going to put create. And down here in score, there's this option called set score. We're going to set the score to 0 and press OK. Another thing we want to do is make our object actually shoot bullets when we press the space bar. So we're going to go make the bullet sprite. We'll go to resources, create sprite. We'll just call it sprite bullet. So after you make your sprite bullet, we're going to make the object for it. So we'll go to create object. We'll call it object bullet. Make sure you select the correct sprite. And we're going to add a create event. And in the create event, we're going to make it move a certain direction. Since our character is on the left and we're shooting enemies on the right, we're going to make it move right. So we're going to go to create. Make sure you drag move fixed. Select this right arrow here. And if we want our bullet to move fast, we can make it set the speed to 15. That's a really fast bullet. So we'll press OK. So now our object bullet's going to be moving right at about 15 pixels per second. Now in order to make our object player shoot the bullet, we're going to have to add an event. We're going to add key press space. And in the space event, we're going to add a create instance, put object bullet. Now, there's this little box called relative. Now all relative does is it makes it relative to the X and Y on your sprite. So if you want something to create based on where your sprite is, like let's say your sprite's on the top of the screen, that means the bullet will come from the front of the sprite when it's on the top of the screen. No matter where it is, the bullet will come from in front of the sprite. Just to show you, I won't check relative, and I'll show you what happens when we don't check it. You can see it on the top, and no matter where my guy moves, it's in the same spot. So let's go ahead and check that box that said relative. And now we can test our game and see what it looks like. So now it's moving with our object player. If you haven't noticed, it doesn't look right. It's not in the correct position. Now, of course, you can change the position of where the bullet comes out. See this where it says X and Y? By making this X bigger, it will go more in front of you. So let's make the X 30. And by making this Y bigger, it'll choose how low it is. So if we were to put a negative value, then it would go up. And if we made it positive, it would go down. I'll show this by putting 20 in Y. So now that we set the X and Y value, we can try it out in the game. it looks a lot better. It's only slightly off. So let's change that Y by a little bit. Let's make it 25. And let's add one more pixel to it. That should be good. Alright, so the create event in our object bullet is finished. It's going right. So now we want to get a score from when it hits the enemy. So we're going to create a collision event. So we're going to select our object bullet. We're going to add event. And we're going to select collision. You see a list of your objects. For right now, we're going to select object enemy. Now down here in the score tab, we're going to put set score. We're going to put 100. By checking relative, it'll basically add or subtract based on your current score. If we were to uncheck relative, that would mean every single time we hit the enemy, the score would just be set to 100. And that's not what we want. We want it to add 100. So if you want it to add or subtract, then you have to check relative. We'll press OK. And one more thing. We're going to make it destroy the enemy. So we're going to drag this little recycle bin icon thing. It says destroy instance. And we're going to we'll press OK. And we're going to check it in the room. And look, our score is 100. Victory.